Okay. Right. This one's going to be small. It's going to be a 400% job. Okay, right. Full colour. Add the paper. Let's see what we've got here. I'm going to make this one. This is quite an easy one to determine size-wise. We've just got to somehow get it positioned on the glass neatly. Okay. Oh, hang on. We didn't select our original size. Maybe we don't have to. We're just going to try it without selecting original because we've got the paper and the paper should determine. It's just a habit I get into because sometimes you do need to, whatever. It's so complicated. The way the photocopier industry is run by idiots. I mean, if this had artificial intelligence, it would know what size original, whatever. I just can't get over how stupid the industry is. They just love money and that's it. They don't actually have any other purpose except to make a lot of money off us, people who are customers. And I'm not a rich person myself, and I need this fucking machine. It's a part of it's one of the tools of my so-called trade. So I have to do this. I had to part with my old C353, which is an old Konica Minolta machine, very old. Well, it's old, but it's not. It could have lasted me another 2 years if Konica Minolta had guaranteed the parts for like 10 years. But actually, I think the cutoff was I think this machine was released in 2010. I'm not sure whether these old machines had more longevity than this, in machines like this, but I was told by the company that I leased it off that they couldn't, that it's 5 years apparently, that companies like Konica Minolta, in so many words, keep the spare parts. And it's just like if it had been 10 years, like from 2010 till 2 years later, 2020, 10 years, I could have had that fucking machine a lot long, for another 2 more years, hypothetically. So basically, I had to lash out on a bank loan to get this machine. It's not Mytronic's fault. That's the dealer. It's Konica Minolta not supplying the parts. And I'm sure Mytronics would want to do better than Konica Minolta, but hey, the Konica Minolta is the manufacturer, and what the manufacturer does goes, unfortunately. So I'm really disappointed that I had to relinquish my old C353 when I did, but it was still a good machine, and it did its job. I now have to put that behind me. It's just so hard dealing with the realities of corporate greed by the big corporations like Konica Minolta, and it just really pisses me off. Like when I was 13, not long after I first got into photocopiers, big time, basically I had the idea that a photocopier lasts 10 years at least, or at least that's the ideal, at least, not like this, 5 years. That's just total bastardry, and it's changed. I'm sure the machines did last 10 years back in the years like 1986, but this is not the 80s, this is not the 90s. This is the age of the Aquarius of fucking corporate greed. Greed is what rules the world these days. People who are greedy get what they want. People who want to do the right thing, or people who are the consumer, they don't care. They don't care. It's the old saying used to go, it was the customer first. Customer first? Whatever happened to customer first? Well, it went out the window. Konica Minolta are one of the assholes that does not value customer first. They're a fucking bunch of twits. Fucking bunch of assholes. And they just got no idea what the right thing is. Or they do, they probably know, but they don't want to do the right thing because they're fucking idiots. They're idiots. Honestly, they're fucking half-wits. The fucking CEO in Japan who runs the fucking company, and he makes the fucking Chinese and the Vietnamese who put this together, I'm sure he makes them work very hard like slaves, because I know that Chinese in who make the Apple iPhone, the company called Foxconn, they work them like slaves. And that's why it's so cheap to get things processed in China, not America, not Japan, not Australia. It's cheaper to get it processed in China. And these poor Chinese, they just get walked all over by the fucking companies. You know, they get walked all over. And they just take it. And I have to use this stuff that's basically the product of slave labour. I can't get around it. I don't have the fucking authority to determine what happens to these poor workers who are trying to escape poverty in their country, who go to town and from the shanty towns and try to get a job and change their fucking fortune or life. And they get treated like shit. And, you know, Australian companies send stuff over there too, not just the Japanese or the Americans. It's a load of shit, honestly. And all the money they get, and it's just so wrong. If I had my way, I'd be designing a photocopier that's artificially intelligent, and all the fucking money I get from making a really good product will go toward, most of it, not all of it, but most of it will go towards cleaning up the damaged environment, including climate change, global warming, pollution, such as e-waste, where this probably ends up in a third world country when Quantum and Ultra are finished. Bastards. They should be recycled, but the best thing to do is to keep the machine going rather than simply recycle it. I mean, I'm thinking I could do better with this, but basically they should. I don't know how much e-waste gets recycled now, but when I looked at an article dated, I forgot exactly when, whether it was May or June 2015, it said only 10% of e-waste, electronic waste, extremely toxic, gets recycled worldwide. I don't know how the photocopier fits into that problem, but I know that it's a very low figure and it's cheaper to dump than to recycle. I mean, you've got to strip the machine of all its plastics, its metals, its minerals, its glass, and you've got to basically batch everything, and it's just a hard thing. It's best to keep the machine running, then you don't have to do that. My idea is to have a machine that's not only advanced artificial intelligence and you know, software-wise, the hardware's got to last 60 years because our planet cannot take all this constant mining and ripping out of the ground, and recycling's too hard for these fuckwits, obviously. They'd rather just dump it. And basically, what can I say? I'm trying to remember what I had to say. It's just so much stuff that's not right with this world. If I had the money, I'd give it. Yes, I just said global warming, climate change, cleaning up waste like e-waste, but also giving money away to poor people so that poor people can have just as much fun in this life as the rich or the middle class. It's not fucking fair, this world, and I want to make a fucking difference one day when the technology arrives.